President Trump standing firm on tariffs and making America wealthy again, despite reaction from the stock markets, reminding America he did the same thing in the first term and it led to jobs, paychecks and economic growth.
Joining us now, owner and president of Klink Campaigns Incorporated and geopolitical consultant Matt Klink, as well as GOP political strategist and host of the Political Grassroots Truthcast podcast, Gene Valentino. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Wake Up America Weekend.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Now, Matt, I'm going to start with you. Now, it's not been the best of days for the stock market. It's been pretty tough, but we were talking about a long term. The president keeps talking about long term. Is it going to work?
You know, that's a good question. I think that this is part of a grander plan by the Trump administration. Sure. The tariffs are one part of it. They're the most visible part right now. What the Senate did yesterday in passing their budget resolution is equally important. What I think that Donald Trump needs to do a little bit better job of is selling what the play is on tariffs to the American people, because that will keep Congress strong.
You mentioned the budget resolution. Talk just a little bit briefly about that. Some of our viewers, it was kind of late in the day and somebody might have missed it.
No,
what's it going to do?
So the Senate did what's called a vote-a-rama last night, where they were in really late, or probably early this morning. Unless the House and the Senate pass a budget resolution, they can't do what's called reconciliation.
Correct.
And they need to pass reconciliation so they can pass Trump's tax plan, which then allows the tax breaks for the companies to move back to the United States, thus being the whole plan that the Trump administration needs to pass to bring industry back to America and turn the economy to make it a more fair economy for the middle class that's been hollowed out.
There's a lot going on.
Certainly is. Gene, look, President Trump took a few questions on Air Force One on Thursday, but I want you to listen to what he said about manufacturing jobs.
We're going to see construction starting all over. I already got a couple of calls from Lee Zeldin from Environmental. He's got some big plans to approve. Mr. President.
How long will it take to get American manufacturing to where you would like to see it?
Well, let's say it's a 2-year process.
So a 2-year process. Lee Zeldin is going to come in and fix this and bring back jobs, allegedly. This is what we're hearing from him. What are your thoughts?
Well, decades of intentional taking down of America by a deep state element that's had the chance to ferment itself over the years. And here you have a president less than 100 days on the job, and he has massively transformed and pivoted the nation to a positive track, Sarah. I cannot be happier. To answer your question, let the guy turn the game around. I think we're on a serious path for rebuilding America. The incentives that Matt was talking about are contingent upon a budget resolution, and we do need those incentives in place to help businesses get back to the United States. It's like moving the mountain overnight. We use these metaphors, but it's really factual. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. To put another metaphor into the mix here, most people say what goes up must come down, but maybe in this case it's what goes down must come back up again.
Well, or when you see red, I see green.
Now, Matt, Trump was showing off the Trump Gold Card as well, as which he is introducing. This will give foreigners a quicker path to citizenship. Look, it's at a hefty price. It's going to be $5 million. That's what it's going to cost you. But the president is adding the card and making it available in 2 weeks. What do you make of this plan?
I think it's an interesting play. Clearly, he wants to bring more capital into the United States. But again, I don't think that this isn't the big picture solution that Donald Trump wants. I think it will help attract more wealthy foreigners who want to come in and have disposable income. But the bigger picture, Sarah, I think you highlighted earlier, is he's got to explain to the American people why these tariffs are important. Yeah. And I don't think he's done a good enough selling job yet. Yeah. If people have to sacrifice, the American public will do it, but he's got to be more vocal about how they're going to benefit in the long run.
People believe him. They do believe him when he says things, but they just want to know why and how. I think they're the parts that he's missing out on,
Well,
and that's what's creating the confusion.
And it takes time. It takes time, right?
Absolutely.
Right. He's got to have time to get out there. Now, these gold cards that are, talking a lot. Obviously, they're expensive for some. Is it, Gene, going to make an impact on the economy, though? That's at the bottom line. This is a fundraising type effort, if you will, to increase revenue into the coffers of the American taxpayer. Is this going to actually increase or have an effect on the economy in a positive way?
TW, the answer is yes, but more importantly, I think it's a impact on the impression America's going to have about how we look at immigration and the immigration rules that define what a citizen is. I think we need to do a better job, and it starts with Congress. And if they're not performing, Donald Trump is. We need an immigration system that's going to vet the credibility and integrity of the people coming into this nation.
Now, we talk about economy and things that are happening there. Obviously, this week there was something else that happened that I think is going to have a real positive effect on the economy, and that was Newsmax going public this week. I was there at the New York Stock Exchange this week. It was an amazing event. CEO Chris Ruddy ringing the opening bell on Thursday. Matt, what do you make of this company's historic debut, and what does the success say about the current state of the media? Where are we right now when it comes to mainstay media and the traditional media? What does this mean?
Well, I think that the indicators are that people are not consuming news the way they used to in the past. When we were little kids, there were 3 or 4 main stations, and they set the tone for everything. The news was biased, though. If you weren't in there, if you didn't agree with the mainstream media's position, then you were on the outs. And now there are so many different places that people consume media. And look, I joke about my Wall Street, Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel. Blue Horseshoe loves Newsmax. So, I mean, there's a niche that's a huge niche that the station is filling. And that's why I think the stock potential has huge upside.
Do you know what I think so as well? And look, I don't pretend to be an expert, but I am part of the generation that get their news from TikTok and these online platforms and social media. I don't personally, but and I think some people were craving something that's new but also old school. They want something that is on TV that hasn't been around for a long time and can bring them an alternative to what they already know. And that's what I think that also plays into it.
100%.
Because we're still TV.
The perspective that you provide is where the majority of the people are. And now they don't need to rely on 3 or 4 stations for it. They can go where they know the news is going to be accurate, that reflects their perspective, and offers them interesting content. And I mean, I think that the upside is huge.
Just be fair. I just want it to be fair.